roots of cubic equation, and especially I want to have a look at the method of comparing coefficient. So let's see. The profit of shade type G can be modeled by the following function, and we have a cubic equation because it has x to the power of 3, where x is the number of shades sold and gx is the profit in euro. So here goes the profit in euro, and here goes in all those places number of shades that were sold. So first thing, we are told that we have to show that x minus 16 is a root of gx. So we have to understand what is the root. So in the cubic equation, well, in any equation really, the roots are the places where the graph cuts the x-axis. Now, it's going to be different value of x for each of these root. However, value of x of y always going to be 0. So we have one pair minus 16 and 0. So if we replace y with 0 and x with minus 16, and we put all of those numbers, let's just write it all out, every x replacing with minus 16, and we put all of that in the calculator, we will get that, yes, that is 0, 0 equals 0 is true. Therefore, yes, that is the root of that equation. And then they are saying hence means with the knowledge you just acquired, so the fact that x equal minus 16 is the root, we have to find other values of x for which, again, what? Y is 0. So again, the other, we have one of them, let's say maybe that one here, and then we have to find the other two that will have 0 in place of y, meaning the roots. So how do we do that? How do we get x to the power of 3? Well, it comes from the fact that x is multiplied by x and is multiplied by x. Now, obviously, our equation is not just x to the power of 3, but have most of here. And in order to have most of, that means there is most of multiply here. So we are getting that either by 3 factors that have just x, 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 and we multiply them and we will get our cubic equation. Or the other option is that we have x multiplied by x to the power of 2, and that will as well give us x to the power of 3. Okay, so looking at that, that's the idea that we are looking at. So how do we change our root into a factor? We move 16 to join the x, therefore we change the number, so it will be plus 16. Now, what will be our quadratic equation here? Because that's what we're going to have. Well, we're going to write it just in a general form that every quadratic equation is written, and multiplication of those two brackets should give us our cubic equation. Now, one thing, let me just write that out without making a mistake. Minus 6688. Now, this value of a, because this value here will come from the multiplication of those two. So straight away, I know that value of a will be minus 2. Because in order for me, when those two are going to be multiplied, I should have get minus 2x to the power of 3. So straight away, I can change that to minus 2. So I know that for definite. Okay, let's do our multiplication. So here, what do? We just multiply everything by everything, bracket by bracket. I'm always doing an arrow so that we don't omit anything. So x by minus 2x to the power of 2 will be minus 2x to the power of 3. X by bx will be bx to the power of 2. X by c will be x by c. Then 16 by minus 2 will be minus 32x to the power of 2. 16 by bx will be just 16 by b by x, and 16 by c will be just 16 by c. Now, what are we actually trying to achieve here in order to find those roots? What I need in that my quadratic equation, I need to know what is the value of b and c. I already have a, so that I can use minus b formula to find the two roots, and therefore I have the two remaining roots. So how do we compare coefficient? So like we said, number that stand beside x to the power of 3, number that stand beside x to the power of 3 minus 2 is minus 2. So yes, that is correct. Now we are considering what stand beside x to the power of 2. So here stands b and minus 32. So b minus 32. And that will be the same as the number that stand on the other side of the equation beside x to the power of 2, in this case 55. So in order to find the value of b, we move minus 32 to the other side of the equation. We change the sign. We put that in the calculator and we get that the value of b is 87. So I already have the value of b here. I only need to find the value of c. So I can go straight away to look at c. So here I have 16c. Here I have minus 668. So 16c will equal minus 6688. And to find the value of c, I divide both sides by 16. And again, we put that in the calculator and we get our value here. Sorry, I just needed to put that in the calculator, minus 418. So that's the value of c. And we can actually, we have our numbers. We can now go directly to minus b formula. But if you are wondering what's happening with the one that we didn't consider, well, we could consider it, but we have our answer. But look at that. So that's what stands beside x. And that's what stands beside x. And that's what I have on the other side. So that means c plus 16, and then I have b, and I know b is 87, equal, and on the other side I have 974. So again, c will equal 974. I take that to other side of the equation, change the sign, put that in the calculator, and I'm going to get the same answer here. So that's what I'm saying. We don't need to do that, but that's kind of to answer your question, to complete it. But let's write now our equation, our quadratic, minus 2x to the power of 2, plus then b is 87x, and then c is minus 418. So now we can use our minus b formula. In our table, let's just remember where it is, page 20, if I'm not mistaken. There it is, minus b formula. A number that stands beside x to the power of 2, b stands beside x with no power, and c is the number that doesn't have x beside it. So minus b is 87 plus minus square root, and then b again, which is 87, taken to the power of 2 minus 4 multiplied by value of a, in our case minus 2, multiplied by value of c, minus 418, and everything divided by 2 multiplied by value of a, which in this case is minus 2. And then we put that in the calculator and we get that one value of x is 11 over 2, so that's another root. And then the second one is 38, so that's the third root. So now we have all the three roots of our cubic equation. And comparing coefficient, I know we can do long division here. However, this method of comparing coefficient have much wider application than just excuse me, finding the roots of cubic equation. Therefore, I encourage you to know that method.